She will never reveal her true self willingly, because her power lies in the illusion she creates around you. But the moment you learn to see through the mask, every tactic she uses, no matter how subtle, becomes transparent. The secret is this: you don't defeat a narcissistic woman by fighting her games. You expose her by understanding the method behind them. Awareness is the weapon, and once you hold it, her control dissolves. When you first encounter a narcissistic woman, what you meet is rarely her authentic self. Instead, you are greeted by a carefully crafted persona, a mask woven from charm, seduction, and the illusion of intimacy. This mask is not random. It is a calculated performance designed to target the deepest human longings, the need to be seen, admired, and chosen. She studies what you crave and reflects it back to you, making you believe that in her presence you have finally been understood, perhaps even completed. This experience can feel intoxicating, almost spiritual, because it awakens the archetype of the anima, the feminine image within the psyche that promises wholeness. But here lies the deception. What appears as love is often only strategy, and what feels like connection is merely manipulation. The danger is that this initial intoxication blinds you to what follows. The mask is never meant to last. It is only the bait that secures attachment. Once you are hooked, the performance begins to crumble, revealing patterns of control, criticism, and emotional withdrawal. To expose her, you must first recognize that the mask itself is the method. What dazzles you in the beginning is not truth. It is the very first sign of the lie. Once the charm has done its work and you are drawn into her orbit, the next phase begins almost imperceptibly. It is the subtle art of devaluation. Rarely does it arrive in open hostility at first. Instead, it seeps into the relationship through small remarks, dismissive gestures, or a sudden withdrawal of warmth. A compliment that once uplifted you is replaced by sarcasm. Attention that once felt abundant now comes only in fragments, doled out like rewards for obedience. This gradual erosion of affirmation is not accidental. It is designed to weaken your inner foundation and make you dependent on her approval for a sense of worth. Psychologically, this method works because it mirrors an ancient dynamic, the dance between the archetypal mother who nurtures and the shadow mother who withholds. The narcissistic woman embodies this shadow aspect, feeding you just enough to keep you craving more, while simultaneously instilling doubt about your adequacy. The more you strive to regain her validation, the more you fall under her control. To see this clearly is to break the cycle. Devaluation is not proof of your inadequacy. It is proof of her strategy. What diminishes you in her presence is not love, but control disguised as intimacy. Projection is one of the most deceptive weapons in the narcissistic woman's arsenal. Rather than face her own flaws, insecurities, or destructive impulses, she casts them onto you. If she is manipulative, she accuses you of scheming. If she is cold, she calls you unfeeling. In this reversal of reality, you begin to carry the weight of her shadow while she appears cleansed of it. The brilliance of this method lies in its psychological precision. Most people, when confronted with such accusations, instinctively turn inward and question themselves. And once doubt takes root, self-trust begins to wither. Carl Jung taught that what we refuse to acknowledge within ourselves will inevitably be projected onto others. In the narcissistic woman, this process is not unconscious, it is deliberate. She weaponizes projection to confuse your sense of truth, forcing you into a defensive posture where you are endlessly proving what you are not. The tragedy is that in defending yourself, you slowly surrender your ground. The way to expose this tactic is not through argument, but through awareness. When her accusations feel absurd, pause and recognize the inversion. What she condemns in you is often what she cannot face in herself. Recognizing this truth restores your power. Confusion is not an accident in the hands of a narcissistic woman. It is an intentional strategy. She will say one thing today and contradict it tomorrow, not because she has forgotten, but because inconsistency keeps you unsteady. One moment she may shower you with affection, and the next she withdraws into cold indifference without explanation. This unpredictable rhythm leaves you searching for meaning, analyzing every word and gesture, as though decoding her moods might restore harmony. But that is precisely the trap. When you are preoccupied with her shifting signals, you lose touch with your own inner compass. Psychologically, confusion creates dependency. If you cannot rely on reality as you perceive it, you begin to rely on her for the narrative of what is true. Over time, you doubt your memory, your instincts, even your sanity, while she positions herself as the authority who defines what is real. This is not merely emotional turbulence. It is a profound form of control, eroding the very ground beneath your feet. To break this spell, you must trust your own perception more than her shifting stories. Clarity is not given by her. It is claimed by you, and in reclaiming it, you reclaim yourself. Empathy is one of the most noble qualities of the human spirit. Yet in the presence of a narcissistic woman, it becomes a double-edged sword. She knows how to sense your compassion and use it as leverage. Through carefully woven stories of suffering, betrayal, or victimhood, she draws you into the role of rescuer, convincing you that to challenge her behavior would be cruel. If she lashes out, it is because she was hurt. If she manipulates, it is because no one ever cared for her. In this way, your empathy is turned against you, transforming guilt into a chain that binds you to her. From a Jungian perspective, this is the shadow side of empathy. It is not the virtue itself that is flawed, but the way it can be exploited when unguarded. The narcissistic woman thrives on this imbalance, knowing that those who feel deeply often doubt themselves before they ever doubt her. And as long as you feel guilty for setting boundaries, she remains in control. The truth is that real compassion includes self-respect. Empathy without discernment becomes enslavement. When you recognize this, you begin to protect your heart without surrendering its depth. The final and most important step in exposing a narcissistic woman is awareness. Her entire method depends on illusion, on your inability to name what is happening as it unfolds. The charm, the devaluation, the projection, the confusion, the exploitation of empathy. All of these tactics lose their grip the moment they are seen for what they are. Awareness is like light in a darkened room. It does not change the furniture, but it reveals where everything truly stands. And once you see clearly, you can no longer be manipulated by shadows. This is why Jung emphasized the power of consciousness, the ability to make the unconscious conscious. In relationships with narcissistic individuals, Unconscious patterns keep us trapped. We repeat the same responses, fueled by guilt, fear, or longing, without realizing we are playing a part in their script. But when you step outside the cycle and witness it objectively, you are no longer inside the story. You are the one observing it. That shift is liberation. Exposure is not about humiliating her or proving her wrong. It is about reclaiming yourself. The lie collapses when you stop believing it. And in that moment, truth becomes your greatest defense.